part of, like, say, the presentation is get your other hand out of your way so you don't start shooting and shoot your hand off, and that happens to people. It happens to the cops, and it happens to people all the time. I think the misconception people have is that I have a gun, I'm all set. If you have a gun and don't train a lot, you're going to screw it up. You're not going to be able to do it, because what stress does to you, people can't dial 911 when they have a loved one on the floor, when it's your kid who's under the truck or whatever. You'll look at the phone and not be able to see the numbers and not be able to dial 911.
And also, in a doomsday scenario, there will not be a 911.
Well, that's a whole other topic. I'm just talking about what stress.
No, I know. I'm just tying it all together for everybody out there.
No, absolutely.
It's so much stuff in this book that you never think about.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to microwave popcorn waiting for the cops to come, because the cops are gone.
And everybody I know has probably had a surgery, right? Like one surgery, that's over.
I had one today, bro. I bang them out.
Yeah, exactly. You're not going to get you're not going to get your knee scoped, or you're not going to get anyway. Just the stress thing, which was really has been studied the most with shooting, and the what they call the Cooper's color code. So Jeff Cooper was a famous pistol instructor, and he came up with this code, and it's sort of become a very easy way to talk about stress, which is,
slow down. Yeah, it's good.
Condition white is you're watching TV or you're reading a book. You're at home, totally off, like you're not paying attention to the world at all. And then condition yellow
or as they also call it, Uncle Dan.
That's it. Condition white, Uncle Dan.
Not paying attention at all.
Well, yeah, you know people like that, right? You get your iPod on, you're walking down the street. You could be anywhere, like you're in a dream world.
Guy drives over mailboxes. I know exactly who you're talking about.
So. Condition yellow is a step up from that. Now you're out. You're looking around. You're paying attention, and then it goes condition red, where you're engaged, or I think orange.
But yellow is normal.
Yeah, yellow is where you want to be all the time.
All right.
But you're paying attention. You know where the entrance and the exits are. You're watching who comes into the restaurant. It's tiring to be in yellow all the time, but that's what they want you. That's what you should live in. And then orange is if you see like a real threat, and now you're engaging with it. And then red is you're fighting or whatever, And then the Marine Corps started doing something they call condition black, which I really found interesting.
Yeah, that was interesting in the book.
Which is basically you have a catastrophic shutdown of, your reasoning, your abilities. It's that thing that happens when there's so much adrenaline. Your amygdala is releasing all these signals, and you're flooding your body with chemicals. You're sort of, your turbo boosters on full, right? So push and pull, your gross motor skills is better, right? So you're stronger, but also manipulation is harder. So because
fine motor skills,
and mental, all that stuff. Yeah, everything else at a certain point, and
you can't knit.
They used to do it in your knitting goes out the window. Knitting is done.
Poor Rosie Greer.
Yeah.
So they measure it with heart rate, but there's other ways to measure it. But certainly like over 175 beats per minute, but not from exercise, just from stress. And you're in this condition black. You start to disassociate. You
disassociate how?
Which is you're having perceptual distortion. You're not seeing things. You're not hearing things. You're not smelling things. You're not understanding what's happening. Time is slow. They could have tunnel vision. All you can see is the barrel. Like somebody points a gun in your face, all you can see is the barrel of the gun. And it takes over the world. And so anyway, you have this perceptual distortion. And this is a huge field, by the way. And there's a great book called Extreme Fear, and there's a great book.
We only care about the Disaster Diaries.
There's a lot of really good
Don't confuse these people.
Yeah, but anyways.
So Code Black didn't exist until the Marine Corps.
Well, of course, this all existed forever. I mean, it's fight or flight. It's you'd freeze, you'd panic.
They didn't put the Marine Corps put a label on it, right. And is that what they try to get guys to reach, just to weed out guys like Navy SEALs, Delta Ops?
They may try. I'm sure they try with stress and with exercise. That's what they kind of do. They sort of but I can't really get you there without you thinking you're actually gonna die. You know what I mean? You have to be sort of convinced that you're really gonna die. You can't train there, and also you're not training well anyway. So the idea is that more that you train. And train, and then you can do these activities or whatever while you're stressed and while you're in condition red. before you hit black. Hitting black, you're not going to be able to do anything. Like
you said
they call it buck fever, right? So guys will see the buck and they'll freeze, and they can't make a 50-yard shot, which is not hard with a scoped rifle. Like 50 yards, it's like throwing something in the trash right there. It's not. It's but they'll miss. They'll start. You don't know what they're doing. There's guys will walk through a door and they'll miss a 4 foot by 4 foot target that's 6 feet away. Because
in red or black?
In red, and
in red even.
Even when you're getting into because you're rushing. That's why slow is smooth and smooth is fast.
That's what I loved. I wrote it down the first day of my new radio show on Fox.
It's a great one.
On what's that?
Mac, your radio show and The Saying.
No, The Saying's way better than the radio show. The radio show, if all hell breaks loose, I take calls. You can't take calls in a post-apocalyptic world because there won't be phone lines.
That's right.
But when you felt like you were rushing your shot a little bit at the shooting school with this guy, this saying he kept putting into your head was slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Like if you take your time and do it right in a battle, that's going to wind up being quick as hell.
Much faster than rushing and getting misses and then getting jams or running out of ammo or whatever. And now you're all just fumbling with stuff and you're trying to fix what's going on, your slap rack, whatever you're doing, and you're trying to fix your.
What causes code black? Code black, which when you wrote about it in the Disaster Diaries, I was really. It never dawns on you that you could be so freaked out.
Yeah, that you can't
dial 911.
Yeah, and I think
comes up in trials all the time. Like, why didn't you call 911? Oh, I don't know. My husband was laying on the floor with his throat slit. I kind of left my body for a little while.
Yeah, no, and it's not even that it could happen. It probably will happen, and it's
me,
to anyone. It's just you can't. It happens. It may not be the same thing that sets you off, and certainly you can build up your tolerance to stress, which has its own dangers. You know what I mean? There's the special forces guy who falls in the river when he's rafting. And he's like, no, I'm good. I don't need a rescue. I'm good. And he dies because he gets sucked into a little water hole, and because he's too relaxed. He doesn't have any stress. His stress is so high. He
needed to be at yellow.
Yeah, his stress is so high. He thinks that this is nothing, and it's like the stress serves a purpose. You know what I mean? It's your body trying to protect you. It's your subconscious trying to save your life.
What was your favorite chapter of the book? What part of Uncle Dan? What part of the book were you like, this is cool as hell, or the most scary, or the most spooky?
The most scary was that knife thing. For some reason,
gory.
Gory. Gory, and I mean, when they were talking about, actually a knife is better than a handgun when you're that close and stuff like that. I mean, that's just spooky to me to be that close to someone. Someone's got a gun, you got a knife. I mean, reading that kind of freaked me out. The rest of it, I was really interested in stuff, but that got to kind of creep me out a little bit when I got
scary,
to it.
Yeah, no, it's.
I mean, when you're talking about the different knives, and you can just imagine, I mean, I got a couple Swiss Army knives, but they're not going to do you that much good.
I do have a knife. I brought a knife, Jay.
That's not a knife. This is a knife. But you really did write a whole thing about this knife fighting, and there's the knife fighting.
Oh, look.
Is that so you can carve your meat and your food in this end of the road?
Every disaster, mutant road warrior movie, the guy fights with a machete and he fights all the bad guys, Book of Eli or whatever. So it was certainly something
did you know he was blind at the end?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. But again, for those exact same reasons that we're talking about, this actually just plays right to what I was talking about. If you're in conditioned blind, you're not going to not be able to do this. Stab with a knife. Okay. You know what I mean? You're not. The knife doesn't have a lot of moving parts. It won't jam. It won't. It's not going to run out of bullets. And so when you're super stressed, it can still be an effective tool in your arsenal. Whereas the gun becomes very ineffective at a certain point if you're too stressed. But yeah, I mean, I got into the knife thing because, I come from martial arts and, I love Bruce Lee movies and action movies. And, that fantasy of being the guy with the sword fighting the zombies was always something I was interested in. And then I thought, it's a good thing to know about.
Does anybody really think that zombies are going to
Yes,
ever happened.
people do. Absolutely.
Really?
People do.
Sam wrote a whole chapter about it.
I
Well,
know you did.
Go
but I'm just
online
saying,
and you
do
look
people
at
really believe that
people
zombies
are.
are going to...
This is a huge concern for people, and
We got to take
I'm not
advantage
sure
of
how seriously they take it, but definitely it's listen, The Walking Dead's like the biggest show on TV.
it. I know.
and,
I haven't seen it yet, but
people love. There's something again. It's like there's a reason behind a myth, right? Like Frankenstein was about the fear of industrialization, and I think the zombie myth is
What?
Well, like there was the fear of machines. Why was Frankenstein so popular? It's the fear of technology.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you're smart. You went to Harvard.
Yeah, laying it out there now. But it was you think about what the zombie fear is about. Is it about and it's about a lot of things. It turns out, I actually talked to a professor, I think in Chicago, about it. And I don't know if it made it into the book, but it's is it about afraid of immigrants? Is it being afraid of is it red state, blue state, people who just can't be convinced, But essentially, I think, it's about fear of death. It's like, what is a zombie? It's living death coming for you. And it's, so it's pretty common. All this stuff really boils down to disaster stuff is you're facing a personal disaster. You're going to die.
Let's go to the Inuit stuff when you're up near
Sure.
Hudson Bay. You go up there, how you were way up. And at one point in the book, you explained the sun didn't really go down. It just kind of moved in a circle around you.
Yeah, I was.
That's
pretty,
trippy, bro.
Yeah, it was pretty far. I wasn't that. I mean, I've been far. I mean, of course, I've worked in Antarctica before.
Yeah,
Where-
construction.
We're at
A lot of housing projects going up in Antarctica.
sitting on the actual South Pole.
Yeah, the penguins need places to live too.
That's right. At one point, I was sitting about 3 stories up or 4 stories up, and I realized I was the lowest man on earth for a moment.
people have said that about me a few times too. But
In regards to your personality.
yeah,
His moral character.
Thanks.
What you go there? How many flights? How long a day of travel is that to get all the way up
It was
there with
big,
sled dogs
yeah,
and
it's
stuff?
ridiculous. It was like, you ever flown all down the Caribbean, like you fly island to island to island. It was like that, but going from Montreal, so there's about 6
Colder and colder and colder.
6 little stops. Yeah, you have to get out of these little terrible airports, and it's kind of hilarious, but it's kind of a very strange thing. I mean, it's so weird for the people who live there because they've got the internet, they've got MTV. You know what I mean?
Where's the cell tower?
These
Where's
kids,
where's your internet when you were up in
it's all,
Hudson Bay?
of course, there's government subsidies and whatever. They forced everybody to move into these towns, and then they sell them gasoline and little prefab homes you have to buy from the
Government's got them by the balls like
It's
the
a
rest
Canadian
of them.
government, right?
Yeah, and you know what the crazy thing is they killed their
Canadians.
dogs.
Uncle Dan just made a face like, what do you expect?
Figures for those
Yeah, the
Canadians.
Mounties. They killed their dogs. So there's a huge, interesting
The Canadian government killed the
RCMP,
dogs.
the Royal
But they
Canadian Mounted
denied
Police.
it, right?
Yeah, well, and it's been investigated, and no one's really sure what happened. But in the 70s, all the dogs were killed. It's a
How long did
really
Roger
interesting
Goodell
story.
suspend them from the NFL?
they're playing in the CFL, so
All right.
they're still indefinitely, I guess.
Out of Goodell's jurisdiction. So yeah, talk about that. The Canadian government killing the dogs.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting kind of scandal. I could never go into it in the time we have because it's very long, but it's interesting. And it's something to
essentially-
look into.
In dog years, go into it. Then.
Yeah.
Essentially, it's genocide today. Like it's amazing in the book, The Disaster Diaries by Sam Sheridan. Order it on Amazon. Do it. And if you want to go to jmohr.com, click that Amazon link. We dig that. Email me when you've read Sam's book and tell us how much you loved it, because no one's going to not like it. It was one of my favorite books of the year. It's amazing because to me, how it read, and I'll try to give a quick summation. You can tell me if I'm right or wrong. It's almost how the American government, starting with, from inception, we just kept routing the Indians, routing them out, starving them,
Yeah.
killing the buffalo. So the Canadian government, recently, allegedly, just shot all their dogs, because without dogs you can't get from point A to point
Yeah.
B, and you can't go and barter and trade.
Listen, it
So
wasn't
it's genocide
It's
now.
not as
Like,
bad
there's
as
state-
what we did. It's just certainly we weren't giving them
It's not
blankets full
good.
of smallpox. You know what I
Right.
mean? That didn't happen. It's more that they forced everybody to live in towns.
Now we get blankets with Tupac on them.
Yeah,
That was terrible.
yeah.
I'll admit it.
That,
I'm not
I'm
gonna
not
have
even sure
Matty
what
Boy.
it
You
was.
admit it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna
But
Matty Boy take it
They
out,
just tried-
warts and
they-
all.
They just tried to administer, these Inuit towns like they were Canadian towns, without understanding that these dogs can't be on leashes. They're wild animals. They need to be able to feed themselves.
Oh, that's right. The government made this like crazy bullshit law. Like, we're going to kill your dogs. They have to be put down because they're wild. They're at
Yeah, and
large.
they're scared.